Folks, and on a good day. We came up here to the Allentown area and the greater area to make sure what Bobby and I, Senator and I were doing along with the governor, was making some sense and affecting people's attitudes. I've said before that, starting a new business is an act of hope. And a lot of people came out of the last several years, the previous several years, kind of down. I was talking with the owners of the coffee shop, and you saw me taking them around. And I said, I think we underestimate the impact that the failure to respond to the COVID crisis quickly enough had on the psyche of the American people. And it surprised me. They said, well, I know it did with us. You had over 1 million people dying, and we had trouble at the front end of realizing there wasn't much done to deal with it. And we ramped up rapidly, vaccinations and the like. And that generated a comment from our host and hostess telling us that they had real troubles. The young woman who went to the college graduate, very impressive young woman, owns the coffee shop. She was talking about how she had suffered from post-traumatic stress and all the things that were happening around her and the loss of hope and faith she had. And then the husband, started talking about how he suffered from depression. But when they started to see what was happening, that we were actually investing in the community. You guys know people who've had post-traumatic stress in the military and firefighters and like, and how they began to gain some hope. And they talked about how the increase in the Obamacare being available to them and the $800 extra dollars, how it made a difference in their lives and getting the help they needed from the hospitals that they were dealing with. And they just went on and on about how what happened is once they were able to fund the business, and they got help to do that as well through you and others, that they started to gain faith in what was going on. And then talking to a lot of the business owners here, you've heard me say it before, and I apologize for repeating it because you hear it all the time, but I got tired of, so did Bobby, trickle-down economics, If the big guys do well, everybody does well. Well, that may have been occurred, but I'm not a big fan, never have been, that I've always believed that the middle class does well, everybody does well. The wealthy do very well, and the poor have a ladder up. And so all of them talked about how the number of people coming into their coffee shop, the number of people coming in the bike shop, the number of people coming in the running store, how the demography started changing. People started to be more engaged. And there's a real genuine sense of optimism. And they talked about child care and how originally when we had passed the legislation that for the child care tax credit, how that altered their life and ability to deal with their medical problems at the time because they had help being able to take care of their kids. And so what we've talked about is we're going to make sure that we're going to follow on. This is not the end of what we're doing. We're going to make sure that there is child care available. It helps everybody. It's not only not a impact on the taxpayer, it generates economic growth. Because when you can continue to work, if you have a child that needs help or needs to be taken care of, it generates economic growth. Everybody does better. And then they talked about, I'm talking to the guys here and other places about the money we got here from the SAFER Act, able to hire more cops, more firefighters, and where you have this training center. The idea that now you have a first-rate training center that goes all the way, I guess you got Binghamton, you got, not Binghamton, excuse me, you got Scranton, you got what's happening all across up and down the state and in this area where we have the best trained firefighters in the world. And by the way, it matters. These guys risk their lives, not a joke. And it matters to know they know what they're doing. It matters to know when they're... So anyway, I just came away from this really reassured that what we've done has had an impact, not just here in eastern Pennsylvania, but in the Northeast, but throughout the country. And we're going to do more. The job's not finished.